This is the plaintiff, Jennifer Shannon. She says she rented an apartment from the defendants, and they refused to return her security deposit. And wait till you hear why. They won't return her money because they say she doesn't need it. The defendants say they needed more. Can you believe that? The nerve. She's suing for $1,350, the amount she's owed. These are the defendants, Josie and Nicholas Berardi. They say the plaintiff's a little bit off her rocker. The reason they're holding the security is because they were given absolutely no notice. In fact, the plaintiff turned on them and the relationship just went south from there. They feel they are indeed entitled to keep the money and are going to until told otherwise. They're accused of having a poor excuse.
Okay. Jennifer Shannon?
Yes.
You are suing Josie and Nicholas Berardi, your former landlords, for $1,350, a security deposit of yours that they have and that they are refusing to return to you. Tell me what happened.
Well, Your Honor, I rented an apartment in Westport, Connecticut on September 8th. Actually, I take that back. I gave them a security deposit on September 8th, and I moved in on October 2nd and gave them another $1,350 for rent.
Okay.
So I gave them security deposit, waited a month, and moved in. On every month, I paid them on time. They never had to ask me for rent. Everything seemed to be going along fine until I was...
Now, you were renting that apartment in where? Connecticut?
Yeah.
And you had come to Connecticut from where?
From Richmond, Virginia.
And you had come specifically for a job?
Specifically.
And I'm fascinated by the job, so I want to ask you about it. What was it you came for?
I worked for a tabletop designer who sells rather luxurious placemats, tablecloths, napkins.
So what would you do for them?
I was in marketing and sales.
Okay, so you didn't actually design the tabletops yourself?
No.
Okay. You don't have any pictures for me, do you? So I can
No,
just
or
browse while you're
napkins.
talking? Okay. Pretty stuff. All right, so, pardon me?
I was teasing. I said I could bring you a napkin, but my friend Mary Jo was the one who was instrumental in getting me
And getting you the job. Okay,
Yep.
now you were married and your husband was staying behind where? In Virginia?
He was in Virginia, and I had looked for a job. We were from Connecticut, and we moved to Virginia. Both my children are in college, and I had a lot of free time. I looked for a job in Richmond and could not find a job. I'm used to working.
So you found this job, you liked this job, you moved to Connecticut, and you guys would just commute on weekends or whatever.
My husband would come
now,
up on the weekend.
It was a month to month, is that correct?
Yes.
There was no lease? Okay,
Right.
and the rent was how much?
$1,350.
It was $1,350 a month. And everybody got along nicely?
Yes.
Very well.
Very well? Mm-hmm. In fact, according to you, you used to cook extra food
Yep.
and hand it over?
Well, Italian mother.
Of course, right? Okay, and but then what happens? One fine
Well,
day?
then I didn't have any time to plan. I didn't expect to be let go from my job.
So you were let go from your job?
And I was in a panic, like, oh my God, here I am, and I had a dog that I had paid dog care for, and my husband was like, Jen, you need to come back to Virginia. We can't afford to have a mortgage and rental without any income. So I, with Mary Jo in my presence, told Joe, because Nick was at his place in Florida, that I couldn't stay. And they said, oh, look for another job. I said, that's impossible. I will not be able to find a job in 2 weeks. Can I do this? I paid you for the month of February. Can I give you a check for 2 weeks in March? And my husband can't get here the 1st of March, but he can get here the second weekend, and we can be out on Monday, March 8th. I had the walkthrough with Joe the day before.
Wait, you said that, and according to you, what did Josie say to you?
She said, oh, I got to talk to Nick. You know, we're in real financial straits here, and I don't know. God, I don't know. And my husband and I actually ended up taking Joe out for dinner just to smooth over any issues that might seemingly be thought.
When, at that moment, or after
on
he
that
came back
Friday
from...
night when he came up, we took her out for dinner, and we were talking with her and saying, you know, it's too bad Jen has to go. She's like, oh, I love Jen. It's been great. And, you know, everyone was nice and nice until the day I got in the moving van and left, and that's when the whole story changed.
Okay. Did anybody ever tell you, yes, you can just rent those 2 weeks in March?
Yes, they cashed the check. They accepted the check. They cashed it the day
hold
I
on.
gave
Listen carefully to what I'm asking. Though. Did
Okay.
anybody tell you, yes, you can just pay us for 2 weeks in March and stay in March? Or is it the way it sounds like you just described, which is you said that you proposed that to Joe, and Joe said, I don't know, we got to wait until he comes home. And then you just paid, and they accepted the check for 2 weeks.
Well, actually, my husband called Nick in Florida just to verify.
Do you have an affidavit from your husband?
No, I do not. I wish he was here.
I wish he was here too.
Yeah.
I would say, if you're going to tell me something that your husband tells you.
I can call him.
Is he here? Is he right behind you?
No, I meant on the phone.
No,
He's in
yeah,
Virginia.
you know. I mean, it's not, because it's so hard for a person to actually get their husband on paper, you know? I mean, come on. All right, so you take her out to dinner, then there's some conversation between your husband and Nick, and you write out a check on March 1st for how much?
It was actually February 28th.
February 28th for March for how much?
For $675.
$675. All right.
Saying I was leaving, and I also showed the apartment during the time that I was packing to go back home.
Was there a letter or?
There was a verbal, but then I called the state of Connecticut, and they said you need to put it in writing. So I did, and I sent.
Wait. Are you calling the state of Connecticut on February 28th?
No.
Okay. I want to know in order what happened. On February
Okay.
28th, you write a check?
Yep.
And it's for $600 and what?
$75.
Okay. Which is half of your rent?
Yep. On the
Okay.
promise I'd get the security deposit back. I could have just left, but I said, well, I want to show you good faith. I'm going to pay for the 2 weeks as long as I get my security deposit back.
Right, well, you're supposed to.
Yeah.
I know people do that, but that's illegal.
Yeah.
All right, so then you paid that rent. Now, you started to say, and I told them blah, blah, blah. Did you attach a note to the rent, or what are you talking about?
No,
Okay.
I went
All
on
right,
good
so
faith.
you lived those 2 weeks. During those 2 weeks, is there any discussion about?
I wasn't actually there 2 weeks.
Oh, you weren't.
I left on the 8th.
Okay.
I
During
told them.
those 8 days, was there ever any discussion between you and I have this concept that they live in the same place. Is that accurate?
Well, most of the time he's in Florida 6 months of the year.
Okay, but you're renting out a what? A basement from their house?
A tiny little apartment
efficiency
in their
that's sort of,
house.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, is there any discussion during those 8 days about
Oh,
the
I
security
wish you'd
deposit?
stay. I wish you'd stay. I said,
Other
I
than
wish.
that, the security deposit. Is there any discussion about something that's relevant to me?
Just like, oh God, things are really tight with money.
Nothing. There's no discussion about the security deposit. All right. Then it's day March 8th, and you're moving out, right? And is there a walkthrough?
There's a walkthrough with Joe the night before on the 7th. She said everything's fine.
Okay.
You're good to go.
Is there a discussion about the security deposit then? All right. When do you first bring up then the security deposit with them?
My husband actually called while we were driving.
You
to-
never discussed the security deposit with them. That's uncomfortable. Your husband is the one who did all those discussions?
Well, I felt that because Nick was in Florida at the time, that if my husband called Nick and said, I'm here to get Jennifer, and I hope you're good to your word, we paid you, or Jennifer paid you, the $675, and you agreed to send her the security deposit, that you're going to be a man of your word. And that's when he said, oh, I'm under financial duress, and I'm not going to be able to pay. And
Okay. Why? I'm sure she looks like a lovely person, and I'm sure you guys had fun in New York. But why is she here instead of your husband? Like, what? Why? How? What? What is she a witness to? I'm sorry.
she was there on February 18th when I gave
The day
Joe
you gave
the
him notice, but there's no dispute about that,
No.
really. But okay, Mr. Berardi, did you have discussions with her husband?
We had a brief discussion.
Okay, what was that about?
It was about the fact that let me put it this way. She lost her job on February 18th, okay? Jennifer did.
Right.
So requested she wanted a few weeks to find another job, and we kind of agreed to that. Because
I don't know what that means. She paid February already.
Yeah, she paid February. That's not a
Okay.
problem. The problem is March, the month
Okay.
of March. Now, according to Connecticut statute, she moved out on March 8th, okay? Now, the Connecticut statute states that if a tenant stays more than 3 days in the current month, the landlord is entitled to a full month's rent because it's a
Okay.
month-to-month
Can I
basis.
see the statute you're looking at?
It's
No,
47.
no, just hand me what you're looking at. I want to know where you got it and how you got it and everything else.
Well, I don't know if it states it that clearly here.
Oh, it doesn't state it that clearly? Okay, so, all right, let me just ask you, I want to know about your discussions with her. Do you have any discussion with her or with the husband?
I was in Florida at the time. I had this mostly
Okay,
discussion.
there's telephones in Florida. I know it. I know it because my kids, I've never seen their hands without a telephone in it. since they became teenagers.
Yeah,
so I know this. So did you have any discussions with him?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about the discussions you had with the husband.
I told him that, well, first of all, I did some research. I checked with some brokers in Westport and see what the general rule is in regard to...
Okay, here's what I want. I don't know how to make my question any clearer. Tell me, I don't want to hear about your research. I don't mean to be disrespectful. I want an answer to my question. Tell me what you and the husband discussed. That's what I want to know.
So her husband doesn't come to court, doesn't have an affidavit. Does she lose this case?
Yes.
Why?
She does. He versus she. Well, that's too many people in the equation.
That's too complicated for me. So here's the thing, though. Can't she recount what her husband told her? Isn't that good enough?
No, it's not, because it's he who heard exactly what was said, not her.
Does she lose?
Yes, because she was not involved in that conversation. It's hearsay. She has no idea what's going on.
Objection sustained. Going inside the courtroom.
I told him that we are entitled to the full month's rent.
Okay.
So since they were willing to pay that, I withheld the security deposit, $1,350 for the month of March, which I was entitled to.
Okay, now, what discussions did you have with the husband? Did you ever tell the husband, yes, she can stay here for the 2 weeks in March?
I told, yeah, we agreed. You know, we kind of accommodated her because she wanted to have a couple of weeks to look for a job. So
I understand.
said, so it's
when you
okay.
said earlier that she asked for another couple of weeks so she could look for a job,
Yeah.
So it was originally agreed that she could stay the couple of weeks.
Yes.
Okay. And then you after thinking about it, you felt, well, that's not fair. I can't rent that out in the middle of March, so I should be able to have the whole month of March.
Yes,
Or whatever.
that's what if you're there more than 3 days.
Yeah, no, all that's true. Let me explain something to you. You would be in the right but for one thing. First of all, let me explain to you. Don't you ever come to court again without an affidavit from with the guy who's the actual whole case. Because you just got very lucky that Mr. Berardi is a very honest man, and he just finished saying what he said. Because an unscrupulous person would come in here and say, no, I never said any such thing. Then I would have followed up and cross-examined saying, well, then why did you deposit the $659? And then he would have said something like, well, bird in the hand, but I was waiting for the rest of the rent, whatever. But the case didn't go the way I expected it to go, okay? Because when you come into court empty-handed, you should leave empty-handed. And you have come into court without, like, the one thing you need, which is your husband's testimony. And it's not like it's really hard to get, your husband in an affidavit. You just have to go, oye, wake up. And, I mean, it's not hard, okay? Now, mercifully, he is an honest man, and he just said, yes, Judge, we did. I said originally, but now upon further reflection, I don't think it's fair. Now let me explain to you. You were wrong, and here's why you were wrong. Had you never agreed that she would stay there those 2 weeks, that would be one thing. But when people have an agreement, okay, this is how we're going to go. You're going to go ahead. You can do this. We'll do this. I'll accept those 2 weeks. And you can't then change it because she is acting, relying upon what you said. She's moved out relying upon you saying that. She's gotten her husband to come up on a specific weekend relying on that new agreement between you two. She hasn't gotten the use of the place for the extra 2 weeks relying upon the agreement that you had. So you can't then later say, hey, in retrospect, I probably shouldn't have gotten into that agreement. Had you from the beginning said, no, I require, the law requires you give me X notice. I'm not going to accept that. So, yes, you got to stay in March, and we want the full rent in March. You would be in the right. She'd have to pay the full rent in March. That would serve as the notice, ample notice, and then you get to get March. But when you say, I like you, you've eaten my food, you've been a pleasant person, I wish you weren't leaving, okay, yeah, I'll accept the 2 weeks, and then people do things in reliance on that word of yours, then you got to keep your word. That's where the problem lies. So in this case, based on what I have heard, I find in favor of the plaintiff in the amount of the $1,350. Good luck, folks.
Great. Thank you.
So the defendant loses this case because your acceptance of the 2-week agreement created a brand new agreement. Here, step right over here.
Not what I really said.
And turn around this way. And what do you mean?
I didn't say that. I said I would allow her time to find another job, but I didn't say that I agreed for 2 weeks. I was still entitled to the full month's rent because she stayed beyond 3 days for the month of March. That's where my case lied.
Yeah, I know. Okay, you didn't get a chance to say too much in there.
No, I didn't say two words.
Could you have said something that could have changed the outcome here?
Well, she said that her job is on the line. She told me this like earlier in February, okay?
Don't go into the whole case again here.
Okay.
This is just, so you have nothing that could have changed the case. We're out of time. You got to head down this way. All right. But thanks anyway. Okay. All right, so come on in. All right, so step in here. So you satisfied how this thing comes out here?
Very happy.
Mm-hmm. Did he allow? He says he didn't accept 2 weeks. He said he just said you can look for a job.
Word is word, fair is
What got
fair.
said? What did he say exactly?
He agreed with me and cast the check and then changed his mind like the judge ruled. So I feel very confident in coming here and the expense of travels and won the case.
Okay, Harvey.
Okay, Kurt, the fact is an agreement can only be changed by the consent of both parties, and there has to be consideration as well, which means that when there's an agreement like that, each side has to get something additional, and each side has to give something additional. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.